Hi, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Steve Sims. Steve, I'm really excited to have you on today. I mean, it's just, I'm just been so excited all day because it's actually like 5 o'clock in the afternoon for me. Steve, before we go into the discussion, where can people find you?
I'm at stevedsims.com. I also have a free Facebook group at An Entrepreneur's Advantage with Steve Sims, or you can join my inner circle at simsdistillery.com.
Okay, cool. You're a big user of social media, aren't you? Because I mean, I came across you on social, and
I do use it. Yeah, I use anything that works for me. And at the moment, because of COVID, social is 100% the dominant tool to use. Yeah.
So I came across you being interviewed on social media, so I saw your profile, and then I heard an English accent. So how on earth is a bricklayer from London living in Los Angeles, and you do some amazing things, like you've been working with Elton John, and how come you've done all this?
Well, I left school at the age of 15. My family owned a very small little bricklaying firm that consisted of my mum and my dad and my cousins and my uncles, typical Irish bricklaying firm. And so I left school at the age of 15 and went straight into the building site. I noticed very early on that I was aggravated. And like most entrepreneurs, we're aggravated. There's a friend of mine, Joe Polish, that says that it's aggravated oysters to make pearls. And most entrepreneurs are aggravated where they don't fit. Now, I was born in the 60s, so I grew up in my teenage years of the 80s, and I was questioning, is this my life? Now, I didn't at the time have Instagram and all these social platforms to tell me how inadequate my life was, so it was just my inner feeling that would kind of like be on the building site, go, hang on a minute, I'm 15 years old on a building site. My granddad's 80, he's on the building site. Is this it? And I realized that I wanted better, but I was in a room, and I have a saying, you are the room you're in. Every Friday lunchtime, we all piled into the local pub, and I thought to myself, is this my circle?
Is this it?
Yeah. So what I made, and I don't know how it came about, but I really decided from a very early age, I needed to change the room I was in.
Yeah.
So I literally started off by hanging out, and it was terrible, but I would hang out in bars of hotels and just have a coffee because I couldn't afford anything else. But I just tried to get myself into environments of affluence. And from there, then I needed to try and get people to talk to me. And so I just wanted to change my room. So quite simply, it all started from me being aggravated with the room that I was in, which was a pub on a Friday afternoon. And now the rooms I'm in are with Elon Musk, Richard Branson, and I work with the Pope. So some pretty cool rooms.
So you quit being a bricklayer, and you know.
No, I've got to tell you this story. I went up the ladder, and anyone that I can see your age as well. You're a little bit over 21, so you'll probably remember this. Bricklayers used to have these hod carriers that would carry these bricks on the back. I was training to be a bricklayer, but my dad was shy of laborers that day. So he made me carry the bricks. I carried the bricks up the ladder. As I got to the scaffolding, and I've got the bricks still on my shoulder, I'm like 15 and a half, 16 years old now. The first person next to me was my dad. Next to him, his brother, my uncle. Then my two cousins that were in their late teens and mid-20s. And then next to him, my granddad that was in his 80s. I saw my family lifeline. I literally saw where I was and where I was going to end up. It couldn't have been laid out better. I went down to my granddad at 10 o'clock in the morning at tea break time. We're in this manky old caravan with no wheels, trying to warm up and get dry from the rain of the typical day. And I asked probably the dumbest question in the planet to my granddad, which I'm still stunned I didn't get a smack in the nose from. I said to him, I said, Granddad, did you ever think you'd be doing this at your age? And he never even looked at me. But he blew in his tea, and he said to me, son, if you don't quit today, you're me tomorrow. And the whole caravan went quiet. Everything just went absolutely definitely quiet. And as I left the caravan, I ran up to my dad. And I said, Dad, I was up there and I saw you. And I went down, I saw Granddad said, me tomorrow, I got to quit. And he said, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know, but it's not this. And as it was happening, my granddad walked behind me. My granddad was like a 7-foot Irish lump. So when he walked anywhere near you, you knew it. My dad looked at him. I never saw my granddad other than out of my peripheral. Sadly, that was the last time I ever saw him. But my dad looked at him. They looked at each other. It was like a little sly smirk that was kind of like, let him go. Let's see what he can do. And my dad said, I'm short-handed for the next few days because you end Friday. And that was it. And so if it hadn't have been for that scaffolding moment, if it hadn't have been for my granddad being in his 80s, giving me something up my ass, give me a boot up the ass, I may have still been there. But that was the pivotal moment that kicked me off into months of getting into really stupid jobs that I just had no place to be in, trying different industries that I had no experience in, that finally got me into a position where I created my own industry.
And that industry is a high-end concierge service.
Yeah, I started off being a doorman because, God made me big and ugly. So it just seemed a natural place for me to be. And I started talking to rich people because, again, from an early age, never read a motivational book at that period. I knew that I was in the wrong room. So I wanted to talk to rich people. I didn't want to talk to poor people because I was poor. I knew what that was like. I wanted to talk to rich people and find out, why have you got money and I'm not? So as a doorman, I knew all the best parties. I knew all the best clubs. And so I started being this kind of early 90s now, this like Google of nightlife. And I would tell people where to go. And I'd go, look, give me $100 and I'll let you in. And it was that kind of thing. And I went from getting people into other people's parties to actually throwing my own parties. And I never saw limitation. Not because I believed I could achieve anything, but I was ignorant to the point of why I couldn't achieve things.
Yes.
I always have a saying within my coaching program, go for stupid. Yeah. If you fail, then you'll hit the ridiculous and you've still done brilliantly. So I would then start taking over yachts and I would start taking over penthouses and I'd start taking over mansions, throwing these amazing, elaborate parties and only inviting rich people. And then they would go, oh, I'm going to London. Can you book me a hotel? And I want to go to the Formula One at Monte Carlo as a guest of Ferrari, or I want to sit front row of the New York Fashion Week. Can you make it happen? And as an Irish lad, I'd turn around and go, no problem. And then I'd go home and try and find out where Monaco was and work from there. So without realizing it, I accepted every opportunity and started building up a network of rich people that needed me. But it was always a Trojan horse. The only reason I was doing this concierge business thingy was to get in a room of very affluent people. By default, I ended up founding the world's largest experiential concierge firm. That, as I say, we've been retained to get people married in the Vatican by the Pope, send them down to the Titanic, have piano lessons with Elton John, drum lessons with Guns N' Roses. We've done just some incredible things. But always just to give a rich person a reason to talk to me.
Right. And a way what you've been saying to them, to the rich people, is that you can give them a great cocktail party story.
Yeah, I had a bad brand. So, we talk about branding. You've got to be a certain style. You've got to look a certain way. I never had any of that. And I also never had any credibility. So what I would do is I would just come up to people very, very quickly and go, hey, my name's Steve Sims. You don't know me, but what do you need? And I would quickly get the conversation into what they needed. And I noticed that affluent people, and I'm on about billionaires. It always amazes me that people sell products. And then the second thing they've done once they've designed a product is design a payment plan. Forget the payment plan. Just find people that can pay for your product without worrying about it, So what I would do was I would find billionaires. And I understood that what they wanted was another high, another experience. And inevitably, especially in the late 90s and the early 2000s, I hate to say it, but they wanted to show off at a party. They wanted to be able to walk into a party and go, what did you do last week? Oh, it's funny. I was actually with ZZ Top, touring in Australia as they taught me a riff on a guitar. Or I was actually doing this with Andre Bocelli. And it was me. I was giving people more interesting cocktail stories. And so then once I had a little bit of that credibility, that's what I would do. I'd walk up to billionaires and go, hey, I can make you more interesting. And that was my pitch. And I never had a website. I never had a phone number. That was it.
And I think it's just so simple in terms of saying, my name's Steve Sims. You don't know me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can get you great cocktail party stories. I mean, what a pitch.
That was it. That was absolutely everything. Do you know the funny thing in there that people will oversee and will overlook is the bit where you say you don't know me. You see, the more profile you are, and you said you've seen me on different things, so you already have got an idea, but this is the first time that we've spoken. Yeah. Okay. When you are somewhere, and it must happen to you, I know it happens to me. I'll be at an event and someone will come up to me. They've made eye contact. They're walking over. Now, I'm not Elon Musk, but I've been stood next to Elon Musk when this happens. And all of a sudden, our brain starts clicking. Do I know this person? Have I met this person before? And then the next click is, what are they after? Are they going to pitch me for a product? Do they want investment money? Are they trying to sell me something? Do they want to sell? What do they want? And the body language and stance literally changes, okay? And so the easiest way to calm that down is to walk up to someone in any kind of profile. You can do it with a businessman in your local village, or you can do it with Sir Elton John. Walk up to him and go, hey, how you doing? My name's Steve Sims. You haven't met me before. You don't know me, but I wanted to talk. It relaxes them.
Yeah.
Straight away, they're kind of like, whew. Because how many times have people walked up to you and they've gone, hey, Tim, and you're kind of like, oh, do I not have I met this person?
I've had it a number of times where people go, hi, Tim, and I go, oh, I don't even know who. And I'm thinking,
isn't it horrible?
I don't know who you are. And you just come across as rude. And it's just that you just can't remember everybody in your head,
And then the daft thing is, it's only until near the end of the conversation that you realize you haven't actually ever met them before.
Yeah.
But your persona has been so guarded. You're so thinking about, have you met them before? You're not giving them your true character. The amount of times I've had people turn around and go, oh, celebrities, they're all full of themselves. 9 times out of 10, they're petrified. They don't know who you are.
Yeah.
And you're trying to talk to them like you're your best friend just because you watched that movie 20 times.
Yeah. So you wrote, you actually then sat down and wrote a book, which is, Bluefishing. There you go.
The art of making things happen. That's a whole funny story itself.
So why did you write the book, and how did that come about?
So I was in a party. Again, the good thing about being in the right room is amazing opportunities can happen. And I was at a party in New York. And for anyone that's trying to write a book, you're going to hate this story. I didn't write a proposal. I didn't think of becoming an author or any of that. I was literally in a party. I spoke with someone, and a week later, they asked me to write a book naming all the powerful people that I had dealt with.
Okay.
Yeah, so very easy route into me becoming an author. But the downside was that if I started giving up some of the names of the people that I worked with in the world and said what they got up to, I'm dead before I've knocked up my next old fashioned. So I said, I can't do it. So then I did a speaking gig, an entrepreneur event, and they came back to me and they went, we heard about this gig that you did. Why don't we talk about how a 15-year-old bricklayer is now working with Elon and Richard Branson and all these kind of people? We'd rather you told us how you did it. So we actually wrote the book with the idea of being able to get people to aim higher, try higher. And I openly say, if a bricklayer from London can be doing this, you're already out of excuses. Yeah. So we did the book for that reason. And I've got kids, and I do a lot on social, but I see how many people are doing so much wrong. They're trying to be someone that they're not. They're trying to pretend they're smarter than they are. It doesn't matter. The amount of people in Instagram that you want to get followers, what do? You wear a swimsuit, or you lean up against a car you don't own. These are things that are perpetuating fakes and flakes. And I didn't like it, and I wanted to stop it. So the purpose of the book was to hopefully get people to change a little bit and therefore create the world that I wanted to spend more time in. I didn't expect it to become translated into, I think it's like 7 different languages and to become a bestseller all over the planet. So I was stunned at how it's taken off and pushed me into the different things that I'm now happy to do.
And so in terms of your belief in terms of leadership, what are the things that you think that if I'm somebody at ground zero, and I want to get into a room or get into a better room, what is it that I need to do? What do you think I need to do?
Do you want to play a game?
Yeah, go on.
Are you married?
No. But I have a partner.
Okay, you have a partner. All right, okay. I will say off the bat that the partners get this more times than you. So I'm warning you, okay? And if you get this, you'll be the first person that's ever got it, okay? So I'm having a party this Saturday, and I turn around to you and your partner, well, just to you at the moment. And I say, hey, I'm having a party on Saturday night. You know who I am, okay? And I say, I'm having a party Saturday night. Do you want to come along? And you say yes, okay? Yeah. What's the first question you ask me once I've invited you to the party?
Where is it and what is it?
Okay. Where is it? What is it? Give me another question.
What do I need to wear?
Okay. What do you need to wear? Okay. So that's 3 questions. Give me another question.
What time does it start?
What time does it start? Okay. You failed. They are all selfish questions that help you make a decision whether or not you should come to a party with me. You know I know Elton John. You know I know Elon Musk. You know but every single question you've just asked helps you.
Yeah.
Okay? If you go to your partner and you say to your partner, all right, let's play a game. Steve Sims, and pretend you know him, but he's invited us to a party and we're going to go. What's the first question you ask? The first question that the partner usually asks is,
who's going to be there?
What? No. They say, what can we bring?
Right.
Okay. What should we bring to the party? Can I bring a dessert? Can I bring some? It's true, isn't it?
It's true.
How many people enter into a relationship asking the selfish questions that benefit them? The who, the where, the what time, what shall I wear? Rather than, what can I add to this relationship?
Perfect.
Okay. So whenever I go up to a relationship, I go and I never happen onto them. I never mistakenly get involved in them. I go into a relationship going, hey, you don't know me, Tim, but I know you've got an international podcast and you've got a lot of distribution. I've got a few ideas where I can help maximize that reach. Would this be of interest to you? Yes, it is, Steve. Great. Can we talk? So I will always enter into any relationship with one thing on my head. What can I bring to your party that is going to make you want to keep me there?
Right.
And so that's the same with a relationship. When I've gone up to people before, and I can't mention his name, but I went up to a very high-profile gentleman in the Silicon Valley, and I had been doing some research, and I knew he was involved in a project. And so I started looking at the project, and I noticed a couple of things that could go wrong within the project, okay? So when I saw him and I made sure, where is he going to be? I'm going to be there. I'll get my ticket. So it was all planned. This was a laser attack focus on me meeting this guy. I walked up to him. Hey, how you doing? My name's Steve Sims. You don't know who I am, but I do know that you're involved in this. And I'm concerned because I came up with these 2 problems. And I just wondered, have you looked into those or noticed that they could potentially be a problem? You don't want to insult their brains. But I was just asking, are you aware of these?
Yeah.
And he laughed at me. He literally looked at me and started giggling. And he had 2 guys next to him that he started looking to. They started laughing. And I'm thinking to myself, this isn't the response I wanted.
Yeah.
And they're now kind of like smirking and having a little chuckle with themselves. And then he looked at me and he went, Steve, we found out about those about 6 months ago. And therefore have killed the project because of those 2 elements, those exact 2 elements. So the project's actually not going ahead. So I went, oh, okay. He said, but in 3 years of planning it, no one ever came up to us, but you walked up to us in a bar and actually brought that up to light.
Yeah.
He said, there's no project for you to help us with now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. He said, but we are working on another project. Would you be willing to take a look at that?
Yeah.
And I went, sure, let's chat. So even when sometimes your solution is wrong, not required, if you walk into a room with a solution rather than a problem, people want you there.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what I do. What can you bring to the relationship? So always think about that.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And I've learned something as well. Thank you, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome. You've learned that you're not going to be invited to my party.
I have learned that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we've talked about your upbringing. We've talked about your book. We've talked about, to use the phrase, the way that you add value. Is there anything else, as we're up to about 20 minutes, that you want to talk about?
People don't go for what they dream of. They go for what's achievable. Well, the trouble is, if you haven't tried very hard, then your achievable level is always very low. You've got to go for stupid. I urge you, everyone out there, go for something ridiculous. Don't go for the impossible, because that's a double negative. It doesn't make sense. You're going for something that's not possible. Mindset doesn't work. Go for something stupid. I had a client of mine that wanted to have an Italian meal to show off to his mother-in-law and father-in-law. And he said, I want it to be a beautiful dining experience. Now, I could have gone on to the Italian version of Open Table, got him a great table in a restaurant in Florence, had the chef come over to congratulate him afterwards. But I wanted to see how stupid I could go before I ended up there. I ended up closing down the Accademia de Galleria Museum, set up a table of 6 at the feet of Michelangelo's David, and then halfway through that pasta in their completely own museum, I had Andre Bocelli serenade them. Now, if you keep going for the ridiculous and the stupid, then it raises your level of what's now normal, and then you raise it again, and you raise it again. My bar is so high into the ridiculous and the stupid, I'll never settle, and neither should you.
Fantastic. Steve, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
I've been looking, as I said, it's the end of my day. I've been looking forward to this all day. As soon as I heard this English accent, because everyone must have just assumed that you're American. But as soon as I heard this English accent, I thought, I've got to get Steve on to talk about it. And I've been talking to your people and for months trying to get you on. So it's been fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, Steve, and best of luck. And might see you at a party soon.
It will happen.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.
Bye.